Closing arguments this morning.
There's no evidence to suggest he would have died that night, except for the interactions with law enforcement.
In the Derek Chauvin trial, an epidemic during a pandemic.
I mean, in this last month, it's just been horrifying what's happened. How can you say that's not a public health issue?
More on the recent rash of mass shootings. And a big week at NASA begins.
The day of launch for Crew 2 is on Earth Day,
with the astronauts waking up in Florida this morning. It's all coming up on Newsbreak.
Hello, South Florida. I'm Zitlali Solache, and today is Monday, April 19th, 2021.
From the South Florida Media Network's Biscayne-based studios in North Miami, this is SFMN Newsbreak.
Witness after witness and weeks of testimony, and it's all come down to the closing arguments. This morning, lawyers for each side in the Derek Chauvin trial will wrap up their case and deliver their closing arguments. Just as they did during examination, prosecutors will argue that Derek Chauvin killed George Floyd, and the defense will try to convince jurors that Chauvin's use of force was called for.
I felt that Derek Chauvin was justified and was acting with objective reasonableness.
There's no evidence to suggest he would have died that night, except for the interactions with law enforcement.
Chauvin's defense team will likely argue it wasn't his knee, but rather Floyd's heart condition and drug use that caused his death. The defense only has to raise doubt in the mind of one juror to avoid a conviction. One person of interest is in custody and will be charged in connection to a mass shooting yesterday in southeast Wisconsin. The U.S. has seen a rash of these incidents over recent weeks, and as the network Sophia Lama reports, some officials see it as a second pandemic affecting the country.
3 people are dead and 2 others severely wounded after shots are fired early Sunday morning at the Summers House Tavern near Kenosha, Wisconsin.
Sounds like one person got removed from the establishment and possibly came back a short time later.
And the Gun Violence Archive considered an incident with more than 4 people shot, excluding the shooter, a mass shooting. And at least 50 have occurred in the U.S. since March 16th, when 8 people were killed at 3 spas in the metro Atlanta area.
I mean, in this last month, it's just been horrifying what's happened. How can you say that's not a public health issue?
On Sunday afternoon, Texas police responded to a shooting incident that authorities say claimed at least 3 lives. Analysts say the gun issue defines part of the way the world views the U.S.
Our allies are perplexed and worried about the fact that we can't seem to have a national conversation about the epidemic of gun violence in our country.
Some psychiatrists say these frequent shootings are causing Americans to become more desensitized towards gun violence.
The body naturally responds from the horror and the shock to try to protect ourselves by increasingly becoming numb.
For South Florida Media Network, Sophia Lama.
With vaccine eligibility opening up to adults in all 50 states starting today, some lawmakers and business owners have floated to the idea of extending additional freedoms with proof of vaccinations. Governor Ron DeSantis has already said that won't be happening here in Florida. As the network Celeste Reynolds reports, that has some in South Florida scrambling to change plans.
Earlier this month, Florida's Governor Ron DeSantis issued Executive Order 21-81 prohibiting COVID-19 vaccination passports. According to the executive order, businesses are now banned from requiring customers to show documentation before entering, proving they have had the vaccine. DeSantis says that requiring such documentation reduces individual freedom and creates 2 classes of citizens based on vaccination status.
But the new executive order has been met with criticism, especially by organizers of big events. For Lee Schrager, the governor's decision directly contradicts safety measures intended for this year's South Beach Wine and Food Festival.
We'll be constantly reevaluating it up until the last second, but for now, this is the plan we have in place and the plan that I hope stays in place.
Nova Southeastern University intended on requiring all students to show proof of vaccination upon enrollment for the fall semester, until the governor's executive order.
I will change whatever is necessary to comply with the law and to the governor's executive order.
I'm Celeste Reynolds reporting for the South Florida Media Network.
The largest bridge in the Florida Keys is back open this morning after one of the year's most prestigious running events. On Saturday, the 7-mile bridge between Marathon and Key West was closed to cars and available to only runners after being canceled in 2020. The 40th annual run across the bridge was back in socially distanced fashion. Scattered in groups of 10, runners had plenty of room to enjoy the scenic run. T-minus 3 days until the second manned mission of Crew Dragon blasts off. That's still ahead, and so is this story. The annual Cocoa Beach Air Show becoming an air and sea show. We'll show you video of the actual landing next. Newsbreak will be back in 2 minutes.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
You could be spreading the coronavirus without realizing you have it. So follow guidance from authorities where you live and do your part. It's important to limit in-person interaction with anyone outside of your immediate household, but phone and video chat are safe ways to connect. It's also important to limit any social gathering. This advice applies to people of any age, including teens and younger adults. Visit coronavirus.gov for the latest information.
I'm Jenny Garth, and as a mother of 3, I know kids worry about a lot of things. Getting enough food to eat shouldn't be one of them. But here in America, that is a real worry for 1 in 5 children. This is unacceptable, and something Feeding America is working to solve. Through a nationwide network of food banks, Feeding America serves virtually every community in the United States, including yours. See how you can help your community. Visit feedingamerica.org. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're Feeding America.
Multiple studies have shown that marijuana can slow both driver reaction and response time, which can be really dangerous. He's here. He's here. Wait. What? I can't drive. Why? My. Oh.
Engineers with the Cocoa Beach Air Show have a lot of restoration to do this morning after a splash landing. As bad as this looks, everyone was on the beach on Saturday and is fine. The pilot, who was alone in the plane, is okay too. Cell phone video was rolling during the splashdown on Cocoa Beach. As you would expect, there is profanity, which has been censored.
Oh God. Oh my God.
Also along Florida's Space Coast, we're beginning a big week at NASA this morning as the second manned mission of Crew Dragon launches this Thursday, which just happens to be on Earth Day.
And it's just a coincidence that the day of launch for Crew 2 is on Earth Day. And it reminds us of NASA's core mission to study the Earth and conduct Earth science research.
The astronauts for the Crew 2 mission are waking up in Florida this morning. They arrived at Cape Canaveral on Friday. NASA has exciting news from the little helicopter that could. On Monday morning, NASA's Ingenuity helicopter became the first aircraft to complete flight on another planet. Ingenuity successfully flew and landed on Mars. NASA tweeted a photo showing the helicopter's point of view during the flight. The NASA lab analyzed data during the attempt, hoping to identify any signs of ancient life. That's all the time we have for Newsbreak. I'm Zitlali Solache. Get more news anytime at sfmn.fiu.edu.